Good evening and welcome to Chasing the Facts. I'm your host, Sam Chase, and with us this evening on November 16th, 2022 is Lisa Marrone, Director of Business Development for Chelmsford. I got it right.
You got it right.
I can't believe it. I usually either louse up the name or the title, and sometimes both, but I practiced it in front of them.
Well, it's not my first time here.
No,
I
it
think
is
it's my
not.
third appearance, perhaps?
This is, I believe, your third appearance. I don't keep detailed records like Tom Cristiano does. Tom has a spreadsheet that goes back at least 20 years. He's had a series of shows.
You've seen it yourself?
I haven't seen it, but he has described it to me.
Wow.
And when you show up on Tom's show, he'll tell you, well, this is your 18th time on my show.
Wow, okay.
But I found out, actually, I don't have to do that because Vilu keeps those
Oh,
records.
well,
So let him do it.
it's real professionals here in this studio.
Absolutely. We're very, very, very lucky to have the team that we do. And we have Jack on camera, and we're good to go. So, Lisa, you have been with the town, I'm going to say 5 years.
We're coming up on 5 years.
Coming up on 5 years. I do remember when you were hired. And why don't we start off by having you give us just a very brief snapshot of your professional bio, and then we'll get into the discussion.
Okay, sure thing. Prior to Chelmsford, I worked for the city of Leominster for about 10 years or so in economic development, so that was a great experience in a gateway city, my hometown. So from there, went on, earned a master's degree, which helped me to feel like I'm at that level of applying for a director position here in Chelmsford. And as that was, made available, it was just a great transition from a city community to a town where it's a little bit smaller. You can work a little bit more one-on-one case management, things like that, into Chelmsford. And as I mentioned, I have my master's degree from Fitchburg State University, and I have a bachelor's from Bentley University as well. I live in Sterling. Got a little bit of a commute.
So you have a commute, yes you
well
do.
worth it. No complaints from me on that, but happy to be here.
Not a tough commute, though.
No, it's just that lovely solar glare near the time of those daylight savings and all of that. But
That's true.
Happy to be here. I was hired on January 3rd, so I'm coming up to 5 years,
Coming up
believe it or
5
not. And lots has happened in the last 5 years.
It was, before you came, it was actually a very controversial discussion as to whether or not we needed the position that you occupy. Is this necessary? And at one point, I'm going to say, probably maybe 5 or 6 years before you got here, the town did hire somebody on a part-time basis. They weren't an employee. I think it was more of a consultancy type thing. But the person was contracted to do 15 or 20 hours a week or something like that, to approximate what you're doing. And what I think we found out very, very quickly was that if you're going to have that kind of focus, this is not a part-time position. This is more appropriately a full-time plus position. So have you found that to be the case since you've been here?
Well, really, it's all about building those partnerships, building the relationships, and you can't really do that part-time per se. And it's important to gain trust. There's a lot of details involved to creating change or influencing change. We're a neutral party. We're a government agency. So to do that, we need partnerships. And I've done that through Middlesex 3 Coalition, Chamber of Commerce. I work with UMass Lowell. I am connected with the state agencies, Mass Office of Business Development, Mass Econ, the list goes on, and it's not something you can really do part-time. And I had some of those partnerships long built through my work in Leominster that I was able to bring to Chelmsford, and that gave me a great jump start in, just get going upon arrival. And most of my initial work was spent building the network of contacts for businesses in Chelmsford, and I did that by door knocking. Door to door with hundreds of businesses that I made a personal connection with. So now when I reach out, it's not just an email with a name attached to it. I have those relationships of, how can we work together, or what can the town do for you to better support your business, things like that. And from that, to jump ahead a little bit, it became really invaluable during the pandemic when I had to reach back out to the community. And we're all trying to be remote and be safe, but I was able to really push out a lot of information about the grants and the funding that was coming out. So it really became a really important aspect of the work I had been doing.
Well, for one, I'm glad you're here. I think the 5 years have proved that the position is necessary, and most of the towns around us and the smaller cities have such a position and funded, and they recognize the need to put that focus on the business development. When you first got here, was your role particularly well defined, or was the town kind of looking to you to establish a pattern of operation, rely on your expertise to help the town with the business development? Can you describe a little bit of that situation when you first got here and how you shaped your position? I think you already did touch upon it just a minute ago when you talked about the outreach, but can you expand on that?
So my roles and responsibilities are clearly defined by the job description, but apply that to the toolbox of resources that you have when you're coming in to try to create a new job. You're not picking it up from someone else. You're coming in with a blank slate from a different region of the state. From Central Mass, I'm coming over to the northeastern area. So, initially building partnerships, but what can we do to address the unhealthy level of empty office space on 129? That was at least, 50% of my assignment, was to try to figure out, how are we going to turn this around? How are we going to re-image a 1980s office park into a progressive, modern technology district? So when I arrived, the Economic Development Commission had already started that work because my position wasn't in place. So
the commission advocated for your position. Yes.
Yeah. So a lot of that was kind of handed off to me, and I took that and ran with it. So that was the branding campaign, the website that was created, chelmsfordcrossroads129.com. And that's full of information about what's existing out there, the available space, the important businesses, the largest employers that we have, the zoning, learning about Chelmsford and what the community provides and brings for employers and employees as well. Drone video, logo, and then recently we kind of brought it on to signage that you see out there on Route 129. So that was a big part of that, and I couldn't do that on my own. So that was building a team, reaching out, working with the realtors, the brokers, the listing agents for those empty properties, getting myself inside the building so I could see what it was. So when I'm out in the networking events, I can speak to that and create interest and intrigue. And at one point, we set up a couple tours of the empty buildings to bring in mechanicals and service people, construction people, to see these buildings, because as the industry shifted, the site finders became the construction team. There was so much movement going on that the construction team ended up looking at spaces that were the fastest to fit out and renovate and bring in life science, or what had the most probability of a quick transition from office to life science. And you can see in the communities around us, it's tough to compete with Burlington and Bedford and things like that. Chelmsford's not known for life science.
Well, they got a jump on us.
And that's just one industry that we're talking about, right? So part of that initial year was doing that work and bringing those state agencies. Mass Life Science Center came to Chelmsford with me, and we went through these buildings together to say, I'm going to be working on elevating our life science rating, because that's the good paying jobs, that's where a lot of the money is, that's where the growth is, that's where the stability is in this area. We're a half hour from Boston. So that took a lot of my time, a lot of meet and greets. then there was intrigue, then I was getting a lot of people seeking more knowledge and wanting to meet with me individually to understand more about what the town was doing. Some of the investors were showing up, some properties changed ownership. We continued to massage and work on the zoning, the overlay districts that Evan had worked so hard to do. So a lot of that is just persistence and a greater plan. We have a 129 action plan that started with identifying, the area, creating the branding, the re-imaging, and then that's working towards recruitment, stabilization, and now we're on lead generation, things like that, and the continual marketing, social media. And so it's been working well. We've been filling up empty space, as you see, some of the reports that I've been putting out. The town has given me all the tools that I need to do that, and just a really strong collaborative effort with a lot of teamwork from inside Chelmsford and around as well.
Well, that's really good to hear,
Yeah.
that we're maximizing and we're capitalizing on your knowledge and your skills and so forth. And I'm going to see if I can remember. When you first came, I remember a town-wide commercial vacancy rate of around 1.2 million square feet. Is that close?
I think it was a little bit more than that.
A little bit more than that.
A little bit more.
So,
very close.
What is it now?
We are we're at 8.9% vacancy in that area of town.
8.9%.
Yeah.
And it was 20 as a percentage. I'm an assessor. I should know these numbers. It was 23 or 24 or something like that.
It was close. It was
Yeah.
probably somewhere between 18 and 20%. But the
Okay.
numbers that I'm working through CoStar.
Yes.
And that's a real estate database it's what the realtors put. It's not
Right.
like all encompassing. It's not like a very precise, accurate measurement, but it's a great guideline just to
Right.
know what's going on out there. And as that tool was provided to me, I can now generate tenant listings. I can, it's so powerful. I'm learning every time I'm in that software, I'm learning something new. So you can draw a radius, you can draw all types of capturing demographics, traffic counts.
CoStar is fantastic.
It's really instrumental.
The
And
assessor's office would be lost without it.
I never had that before
Oh.
in my role, so it's really vital for me now. And it's just a great way when someone's seeking space, site inquiries, I can just send out a custom report. It's a great way to welcome someone to our community and show that we really value each and every business or investor that's interested to spend money and be in Chelmsford. So it's been just invaluable for me.
Some of the feedback I got after you'd been here about a year and a half or so, people in the commercial areas, they were shocked that anybody from the town would even call them. Okay, and this was the reaction I got. Who is this Lisa person? She's the business development director, and she wants to make sure that if you're in Chelmsford running a business and owning commercial property, you're having a good experience. So I recommend that you talk to her frequently, right? And it was great to get that feedback from some of the property owners in town that they were, nobody from any other town where we're located talks to us this way.
You're part of my team, Sam, and you don't even know it.
Well, I was on the Economic Development Commission, which
Yes, you
now
were.
has ceased to exist.
Yeah, so we're doing fine. We're doing great.
We put ourselves out of business.
Yeah, but still available.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
When those major things come forward, still available. But that's the type of, when I say teamwork, even that matters. It's really important to that, respect that. You hear some of the feedback in your network of business people, and so that's a validation of what's trying to be done is actually catching some traction and it's working. And so that is really important. I want to stabilize and retain what we have. I want them to see the town hall in my role as a resource for information and not just a person that says, oh, did you get your inspection yet? Or, your business certificate. I want them to contact me if they're having trouble with anything so that I can either use my network to provide assistance Or, it's all about extreme customer service is how I view it, and being a spokesperson on behalf of Chelmsford to the business community.
I like the way your last thought, extreme customer service. We could all do with a lot more of that in just about every area, but in your particular, I think you hit the nail right on the head. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
You know, you want these people to feel as much as they can, even though they may not live here. The commercial property owners, you want them to feel as much of the community as they can possibly feel.
They're spending their lives here. It's their livelihoods here.
That is correct.
And for them, it's everything.
Now, what do you hear from these folks, feedback in terms of when they do need to do something in town? Maybe they need to do some work on their property, so they have to interface with the town machinery in terms of building permits and things like that. Do you get a positive feedback that Chelmsford is a reasonable place for them to do business in?
Consistently,
Yeah.
truly consistently, what I hear is that, particularly from the 129, because that's been a lot of my effort there,
Yes.
and that's the biggest brick wall to get over, if you will, with the brick buildings. I hear from them that the town is doing everything right, and that the town is doing everything possible to assist those property owners in filling up their buildings. So on our side, it's that layering approach. As we said, expedited permitting. We have technical review meetings that happen internally so that we can discuss projects and show that project manager or the investor where the points may be that could be troublesome, if it's noise from rooftop mechanics or if it's a turning radius for a fire truck. We're in there talking with them before they formally submit official plans and come to the planning board. So we're providing guidance before they make commitments, because we don't want unhappy investors or people feeling like they can't maneuver their project through. We let them know where the difficulties are. Of course, everybody knows where the easy points are, but where those difficulties are, if they're unfamiliar with coming in to Chelmsford, each municipality works a little bit differently. So we try to have that as well as the technical review, along with knowledge about the zoning, talking about temporary signage. We get a lot of interest in A-frames and banners, and making sure they understand the zoning ordinance for signage, how much percentage you can cover of your windows, and no balloons, and flashing neon electric signs.
We have a no balloons rule, and I did not know that. I knew about the signs, but not the balloons.
Right.
Yeah. Wow.
All those types of things. So part of my role when I'm in the loop is to let them know these are the certain things that you should be aware of when you come in to do business in Chelmsford.
So we hire you, and you're off and running, and you're doing the outreach, and everything's going fine, and then all of a sudden, COVID comes. Oh, ouch.
Boy,
You
right?
know?
Yeah, panic,
Now,
complete panic.
was there anything in the works, development-wise, that was derailed by COVID?
Oh yeah, a lot of things were in motion on 129. Many projects actually, particularly because of the business amenity grant.
Yes.
We had put that out there, and we had
Talk a little bit about what that is.
So that grant came from the Executive Office of Labor and Workforce Development to help with the unhealthy amount of space. We were losing businesses because there's lack of services out there. There's no place to get a quick sandwich or a coffee, right? We're talking about 600 acres, 150 or 160 businesses, no public services. Some of the buildings.
And at that time, the zoning didn't exist. I think when you first came.
Well,
here.
it's been, and some of those buildings don't have cafeterias. So so they were seeing better opportunities to help retain their staff in locations that were more better experience of at work. So we got the grant, we put it out there, business amenity grant. We really got a great response. We had a lot of interest, restaurants, we had a brewery, we had a winery, small winery interested out of New York.
Wow.
It was really an exciting time, I have to say.
I remember the brewery, yes, I do.
Yes, and we were actually at the point of making announcements on the narrowed list and their locations, and we were divvying up the grant. We had $100,000 to work with, and then COVID was announced maybe a week after the grants
Yep.
were, saying okay, we're narrowing this down, and COVID announcement, everybody withdrew. And we were just back to square one. And this money has a timeline. It's going to expire. The grant money does. With the town manager's knowledge and help, we aggressively pursued Press Cafe. That's how they got in here.
And you kept that alive during that period, as I recall.
And we awarded that grant 2 days before it expired, and we gave it all to get Press Cafe in. And if you see what's happening with the Press Cafe project at 330, this is several.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a big number.
I remember looking at the plans.
Multi-million.
Yeah.
So our $100,000 was able to get their attention and sign a lease, but they had 2 or 3 other projects in motion, the Prudential Center, and Salem. So all those 2 projects got stalled, so then our project got stalled. So we're like 2 years behind what we, had originally, but they're opening soon. It's a full 100-seat restaurant, full service bar. As you might have seen, they came for their liquor license, outdoor dining, and the extraordinary aspect of having a drive-through up to an office building. And that was done by my colleague Evan for
That's huge.
The drive-through. We still get asked, how did you come up with this concept? And we only allow 3. And you can't be a standalone building. It can't be McDonald's or Dunkin' Donuts.
And it wasn't,
like that.
if I recall, it was not a slam dunk at town meeting. There was an awful lot of discussion about
Yes,
that. It
yes.
did pass, but not by a huge number. But
A lot of special conditions assigned.
oh yes.
Can't have plastic cutlery. I mean, we're looking for something more upscale. We're not looking for fast food.
What was the term that Evan used? Fast casual.
Yes,
Yeah, and which
yes.
I had never heard that before, and I thought,
That's it.
Yeah, it's a little. It's not a McDonald's. It's a little bit upscale from that, but it's also not. It's not the Ritz-Carlton either. So
and some of this respect, we have to meet what the market is demanding.
Well, there you are.
That's why you're seeing the warehousing. That's why you're seeing some things happen, because that's the push of that real estate market. And this drive-through, you see Westford. They don't want drive-throughs.
I still.
And so you see the effects of that.
I still scratch my
way.
head at that decision that they made several years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, probably one of the few McDonald's in the country where you can't go to a drive-up window and get your chicken McNuggets.
It's no harm, no foul, but it's just again how
that's what they want, and that's
communities
fine.
operate different from each other. So it's back to that. Yeah. So, but our zoning is very fine-tuned, and as projects come forward through post-pandemic, the Boston addresses no longer need the Seaport address or the high-priced real estate. They're working remote. They're looking further out, and I think that's a little bit of what's happening in our ability to fill up empty space.
So in your opinion, we're especially since we've hopefully got COVID in the rearview mirror at this point, we should be pretty well poised, and the groundwork the spade work has been done and so on and so forth. And I think that's very clear from what you've been talking about in the last few minutes. And I think the Press Cafe is, that's absolutely critical. I mean, to have that as a starter, if you will, it's exactly the right kind of thing. And that's what they talked about years ago when the zoning overlay went in out there to allow for the amenities. If you don't build it, they won't come kind of thing.
Well, we were consistently heard from everyone exiting. That was why.
Again, market-driven. That's what the market is demanding, and that's what you have to be market responsive. And I think you and the town have done an excellent job and had to fend off some opposition from, a lot of people just don't like change.
Well, it's a little bit, nothing worth having comes easy.
Oh, no.
A little
no.
bit like that,
No.
And my mother would say, life is hard, you have to be tough. That's what she would say. And you try to just persevere, and if you believe in something, you just keep working at it.
Mm-hmm.
And when it reaches the end of its path,
I think your mother knew
whichever,
my mother, because I got the same message.
right? I mean, you don't want to push in the wrong direction, but you reach a point where okay, this isn't going to work. Let's try something else.
You have to be realistic in your expectations and understand. Yeah. I know the discussion recently has been, and you alluded to it a little bit in your discussion here, the high-end businesses, the high-paying jobs. But if the market is such that would not saturate your area, you have to accept what the market is saying is appropriate for your particular geographic area. So it does appear that the warehousing type businesses are going to contribute more to what's going on in our area over the next 2 or 3 years anyway in terms of development. And I think the key will be to manage that, as well as we can.
Yeah.
Without, we've just had a recent zoning change in town meeting that would limit some of the excessive type developments.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that works out for us. So anyway, so that's it's all good stuff. And why don't we talk a little bit about, we've got about 3 minutes left, so talk a little bit about what you're doing with the existing small businesses in town, the little pats on the back and the ribbon cutting ceremonies. And that's quite a nice program, which we never had before. So we've got about 2.5 minutes for you to talk
about the ribbon
that.
cutting program kind of evolved a little bit, introduced it during the pandemic as a way to connect with businesses and to also share that we still have great positive things happening even though we're virtual and remote. So that was a way to start pushing out positivity, and it's kind of interesting to do a virtual ribbon cutting, but we tried with Chelmsford Telemedia, extraordinary resource for myself, but also all the businesses in town have this resource as well. So we just keep expanding that, and now I'm being sought after for ribbon cuttings. I think I have about 7 or 8 more coming. We're doing one every week up till the middle of January. And it just keeps going and going. So it's just so much fun. You can watch it virtual. You can watch them all remotely, live through Facebook on Chelmsford TV Facebook page, as well as my own Chelmsford Business Development Facebook page. But we keep expanding that. So I'm working with the Lighthouse School. Those students assemble all my business welcome kits for me.
Oh, wow.
It's really fantastic.
Yeah.
And now they're out in the community collecting items to put in the kits for me. So they're visiting businesses, bringing students, and gathering information on each business. It's free to participate in the welcome kit. So now they're taking that to the next level, which is really fun. And Chelmsford Business Association sponsored the customized pre-printed ribbon that says "Welcome to Chelmsford." So that's another great way to elevate and get more partnership involved. So it's been really fun, and I'm hoping that we can continue working that to other aspects, not just openings, but other celebrations, milestones, anniversaries, businesses that have been here 50 years, things like that, to have that celebration.
And it shows, and you're paying attention, and people like to be paid attention to. And we talk about, just for the benefit of the audience, we talk about ribbon cuttings. We're not kidding. These are actual ribbon cuttings. And
oh, yeah.
We have,
the big scissors.
Lisa has the huge ribbon and the
confetti.
Ceremonial 3-foot shears and the confetti, and they actually cut a ribbon. And most of the ones I've been to, there's food, even better.
Food. I mean, I would love to have a little drum roll in there if somebody could bring it. I mean, I've got all kinds of ideas. It never ends. But also, I love talking with Lexi Lattimore, director for the Center of the Art. We talk often on so much creative ideas and business crossing over.
That's good.
Just so exciting. Having
good.
such a good time. Just love what I do.
That's great. Well, and once again, the half hour goes fast.
There it goes.
We're out of time, and we will have you back again real soon.
Thank
So
you
thanks
so
again, Lisa.
Thank you so
Till
much.
next time.